Hey guys, it's Anne. I am here today with a great group of people. I'm really excited about this. If you're in Annapolis, if you're in this area, there is no way you don't know this group of people. So I want to show you everybody. Here we go. Uh-oh, I have messed it up again. There you go. We have, I'm going to go through and introduce everybody, let you guys tell a little bit about your businesses. But before I do that, I'll just give you a quick update as to who is here. We have Suzanne Ratti from Ideal 360. We have AliceAnne Loftus from Leading Ladies, and she actually also has some preschools that she's going to tell you about. John Maggio from Networking in Annapolis and Hawk Marketing, and Erin Lewis from the Dream Queens Association and Goosehead Insurance. I think Jamie's going to be joining us. If she does, I'll pop her right in. But let's start actually with John. John, can you tell us two things? Here's the thing that I think is interesting, and I'm putting you up here on purpose because I think it's important to think about this. You do two things. You're really well known for networking in Annapolis, but you also own a digital marketing agency. So tell us a little bit about both.
Well, I started the networking in Annapolis to help generate leads for my marketing company because, as we all know, networking is one of the best ways to get leads and referrals. And it just kind of, got big, and then we had to manage it, and things are doing really well, I think. We've had to go to Zoom. The format is not exactly the same because you have to add value. As you know, we used to mingle for 30 minutes. And then we would do our around the room, and then we would have a professional workshop. Well, the mingle for 30 minutes has to be a little bit more directed now, but we have an audience, we have a show. Please tune in every Tuesday at 7:30 and Wednesday at 11:30.
So, and you want to tell us a little bit about your marketing business and what you're doing to help businesses right now?
Oh, right now is very intense. For example, we have a Loftus restaurant. Obviously, they can't serve food the way they used to. So they're pivoting in many different ways, and their digital marketing right now is key. That's what Hawk Marketing does: digital marketing, online marketing, lead generation. Their website traffic has tripled. The investment in getting those emails from before is not really paying off. Everybody's going on Facebook. Carry out is the new thing, family style meals, and they're even providing groceries as a way to pivot. So,
it's funny. Did you see? I think it was really funny. Panera started offering groceries this week. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Vita Taco's been doing that for 2 weeks now. So I think the small businesses were out ahead of this compared to the larger corporate businesses, actually.
I heard Gary's Grill on WNAV advertising that he has Eddie's Grocery, at Gary's Grill.
That's awesome.
A lot of people are doing the pivots here, and I hope that it's making enough difference to keep them whole until we all reopen.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Suzanne, I'm going to introduce you, but before I do, I have to tell you something. So this just popped up as a message. You are a busy lady, and it's so funny. Actually, all of you are busy, and let me go back to the banners because you are clearly not John. There you go. You are Suzanne Ratti. Tell us a little bit. I was amazed when I started putting this group together, and I looked and I thought, everybody's got two things. Yeah. Nobody is just one thing. They've got two things. So tell me a little bit about what you do.
So my company, Ideas 360, is a sales and marketing strategy company. We work with businesses to help them, align sales and marketing initiatives. So different than a typical marketing agency, we look at the sales side. We look at the ROI. And I have a really strong sales background. And I actually really love helping businesses evaluate not just how to spend the money on marketing, but how to create the ROI, how to kind of fill that lead funnel, and how to position your sales team to close those leads. So I do a lot of sales coaching too. And then Smart Women Professionals is a group of about 2,300 women, something like that. And the main goal and focus of that group is that one of my core beliefs is along the lines of the famous quote you've all heard, which is you are the sum of the 6 people you surround yourself with. So we've really built that community as a way to help women in business elevate their power, empower them, but also to provide them with a lot of strategic resources. We have an online directory called smartwomenpros.com, and that's really a way for women who are looking to do business with other women to be able to find those resources. So those are the 2 gigs I got going.
Also, actually, since you're there and you mentioned it, you've got a question here. What is ROI?
Okay, sorry, I'm speaking in code. So ROI is return on investment. And the reason that's so important for a lot of the clients that I work with, most of the businesses that I work with are not just looking to get followers or visibility on YouTube. They are looking to spend money and see how that money converts into sales. So ROI, which is return on investment, is if I spend X amount of dollars on marketing, what kind of sales can I expect to generate from that? And we also look at what your average sale is. So if your average sales, $500 or $5,000, how much marketing dollars do we need to spend? Where do we need to spend them to get you the most sales? So that's ROI in a nutshell.
Right. And actually, it's funny. I watched a video, I think it was your website. It could have been another one, but talking about that, how a business went from, by working with somebody like you, and I think it was you, went from having their average sales ticket be $5,000 per job that they did to be $80,000 per job that they did. And that's a big, that makes a big difference. So what do you really want it to be? I think that's always the question.
Yeah. And I mean, that was a remodeling client who was focused on really small remodeling projects. So when I met him, he was doing bathroom renovations and, small job tickets. And he said, for a small job ticket, I still have to invest the same amount of time and resources. I want to grow my per job size. And so that was our strategies that we implemented to do that.
Yep, that is great. So, all right, AliceAnne, I'm going to pull you up there and let you tell a little bit, but go ahead and tell. You've had a busy couple of days too. Suzanne has been on a few of the live events and a few other podcasts, and you just had 2 interviews in the past couple of days with different newspapers.
Yes. So thank you. So I'm AliceAnne Loftus with Leading Ladies, and I also own 2 private childcare centers in Anne Arundel County. Bright Beginning Children's Learning Center. And yes, we were interviewed yesterday by the Baltimore Sun and this morning by the Washington Post, really just sharing our story as to how COVID-19 is affecting small businesses and how it's affecting the childcare industry, and just kind of talking about the different loans and grants and programs that are out there for small businesses. Bright Beginning is that's my guts there. As you know, I started that company 16 years ago as a new mom. And so to see,
actually go back and say that you weren't quite a new mom yet. You were a
new mom. I started Bright Beginning 10 days before I gave birth to my first child.
Which is a little insane, but
it's a little
amazing.
And I always say, I don't share that to say that like I'm some sort of superhero, but it's just, you never know when an opportunity is going to come up, and you have to just seize the moment. And
that is a great point. That's a great point.
So childcare, my childcare business is definitely at the forefront of my mind right now. I think like a lot of small business owners, we're trying to figure things out and stay in business and take care of our clients and our employees. So that's really been a huge focus of mine right now, along with Leading Ladies. Similar to Suzanne, I run a Facebook group, Leading Ladies with AliceAnne Loftus. We're just under 5,000 members, I think 4,500, 4,600, I'm not sure. But we are just a community of leaders, women who are in leadership roles, whether you're leading your family, your small business, a boardroom, or just trying to be a better leader for yourself. The community is about showing up as your best self, being a leader. And I've really been putting my focus in being a social emotional leader right now, in how we can show up in using practices based in positive psychology and really taking care of ourselves and taking care of our community, and remembering that this too shall pass. And we can't control what's happening in the world around us, but we can certainly control what's going on inside of us and how we show up for others.
I want to say this because everybody who is in this group right now is currently helping somebody else, either in this group or outside of this group, in business to thrive. And it's so important because this is such a scary time for so many people. And not just individually helping, but I love I love what all of you are doing as far as the networking goes and making sure that people can come together and grow. I think I've used somebody from every group this week. So and it's nice to see that happening. All right, Erin, I'm going to switch over to you. Give me 1 second to pull you up. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I own Goosehead Insurance. We are a personal lines insurance brokerage working to help individuals and clients find the best combination of price and coverage on their home and their auto insurance. We especially focus on working in realtors with first-time home buyers, reconstruction, vacant properties, rental properties, anything related to property. We've got you covered with lots of different options to go out and shop and figure that out. So obviously right now people are looking to save money anywhere that they can. And, that insurance line item on everyone's budget is worth a second look. It's been easier to get in touch with people with everyone being at home and having all their files around them. So that process has been good. And like we always say, it's always the best combination of price and coverage. And we're finding people are better where they are. So we're recommending and saying that as well. So that's Goosehead Insurance, and I'm 20 years in the industry, so lots of experience there. As far as my heart work and my real love and joy is the Dream Queen Association. It's an organization that I started 8 years ago, working with positive, passionate, purpose-filled women who wanted to come together to celebrate one another, live their dreams. And in the process, we developed a foundation that works with teenage girls and helps them build confidence, career clarity, and connection. And connection obviously is one of those huge pieces right now that we're all, having to navigate and figure out in a little bit of a different way. And so the teen program we have met historically, it's been, we have 4 high schools in Southern Maryland right now, all led by certified facilitators. We have 5 networking events that happen in 5 different counties, all physical, like John has always historically done. And so we have had to really figure out how to go online and virtual like everybody else. So it's been fun. I mean, I think every week we now have an online networking meeting that goes through our normal agenda. And there's a leadership topic that gets taught, which is pulled from our Teen Girl curriculum. And then our awesome, innovative facilitators have connected back with the girls in the schools, and they're doing Zoom calls to get the girls connected.
I was going to ask about that. I'm glad to hear you're doing that.
Yes. And actually, it's been a great opportunity to open that up to other girls who may not physically be able to be present because they're not in that school, but that want the online connection and the resources, that go along with just being able to plug in.
That's really great. And Jamie you guys saw her. I'm not sure if I actually introduced her, but Jamie from the Founders House is here. And Jamie, do you want to tell you have a bit of kind of big news on the horizon. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or is that?
Sure. No, I can talk about it. Sure. So my name is Jamie Burton, and I'm the founder of the Founders House. And what we did was in-person events focused on education and connections. And the reason that I created the company was based off of a need that I felt during my first startup. And then again, in the corporate world, I was heavily involved in sales for about 10 years and transitioned into a technology startup. And I always felt that there was this lack of communication and this craving that predominantly women who I was talking to, women entrepreneurs, were feeling. And so I created this community, and it has gone incredibly well. Obviously, with these unprecedented times that we're currently in, I think everybody's facing unique challenges. So for me, the question was, how can I serve this community, this Annapolis community, in a larger way? And to that effect, I've been really thoughtful to what AliceAnne also commented on, how can I engage the Founders House community? And the pulse that I've taken is that a lot of the women right now are just kind of trying to pull themselves out of these questions around the CARES Act, and how do we apply for certain different opportunities that we may have as small business owners. And so what I've been currently doing on the back end is try to pull some resources. And Anne, I absolutely love what you have set up here. And thank you for allowing me to be live with everybody on this show, is to kind of answer some of those questions. I try to base everything around fact. So on the Founders House side, that's what I'm currently kind of doing, and allowing the connections that have cultivated over the past 2 years to foster outside of the traditional means, since that's not an option right now. In terms of what I have decided to do and take on a larger role, is I actually applied and put in my name for the vacant delegate seat in District 30A. So I was just overwhelmed with a sense of gratitude by all the supporters of the Founders House who have written letters of support. And it was just in my mind, in days like this where there's so much fear and so many unknowns, I wanted to step up and take action and let people know that on the other side of this, there is good to come. It may not be in 3 months or 6 months, but we will all get out of this. And I think we need to go for a larger cause and surround ourselves, gather together for a feeling of hope, and feel inspired to know that we may have to adjust our thinking or pivot our business models. But when we resource the appropriate people and the right advisors, we're able to accomplish a lot more together. So that's the big news. Yes.
That is amazing. Yeah, I absolutely love that you're doing that. I wanted to show you, because I forgot, we usually do a few minutes before, but everybody was so busy today. We didn't do much ahead of time. So I want to remind you that we're live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And the reason that came up is because you just had a message from somebody who said it's nice to hear you. So, and that's from Twitter. So that was nice.
Thanks, Alessandro.
Yeah. So let me go back and take him down for a minute, but I had to show you that he was there. And actually, that may be our first comment we've gotten from Twitter on this particular show. So that's nice. I wanted to talk to you. The reason I wanted to bring all of you on is there's so much negative news. I listen to the news every morning. I'm so tired of hearing the negative news about businesses when I know so many of them are working so hard and are doing so many cool things. So I want to give you the opportunity to talk about what your clients are doing, what you're doing, some of the things that you think stand out as showing resilience. So I'm going to start. Let's go backwards. Let's start with Jamie on this one.
Sure. So I actually thank you so much for the question. Yeah. I actually have had this discussion with multiple people. I think so many business owners are business owners because they have a solution to a problem. And I think that, or they want to do things somewhat differently, or they have this passion. And in the conversations that I've had around the community, a lot of people are having to rethink what the next steps in their business look like. And in speaking with several individuals, I think we really need to focus on now what's working well, and maybe table some of the ideas that we may have for the future. And you have to go off of what the data is showing you. For example, I am somebody who loves to create these grandiose events for 200 women, 100 women. And what I have found was the most impactful ones, and the ones that were the most profitable, were actually the ones that were more smaller and more intimate. And so when I looked at that and I really listened to what my audience was needing, it allowed the business to grow in ways that I hadn't yet recognized. So especially for businesses that maybe stand alone or used to being offline, what are ways in which they can still serve their community in an online format? The path is somewhat of a lesser resistance in that there are incredible platforms like StreamYard. There's a company called Mighty Networks, where if you have this community offline, you could build a platform using their technology. And so I think just figuring out ways where it makes sense, cutting back on some of the ideas that may cost you a lot of money, and honing in on what's most profitable for you. And then looking at the resources that we do currently have to help businesses kind of weather these unprecedented times. That's what we've we've talked about. And I think that has shown a lot of people to be very resilient and think differently and allow them to be successful in ways that they may not have thought of before.
Yeah, it has been absolutely amazing to me to watch. Like I keep saying Vita Taco, and they're not a client. I actually just like their margaritas a lot. But honestly, they had their margarita truck. They have a margarita truck now, and they had it in my neighborhood like an ice cream truck for grown-ups.
They can bring it by my house too Friday.
I sent them a message and said, "Could you do that again? I missed it."
Yeah, and I think both personally and professionally. Personally, it was a friend's like momentous birthday, and we all did kind of a rally of cars to show our support in a drive-by. We're still maintaining appropriate social distancing. And professionally, Susie Salinas, who is an incredible organizer, is now crafting new ways to serve that community. And I told her, for me personally, as a mother of 2 kids in school, I would love to see some sort of organizational component or task where she could tell me how she's managing that, because there's so many different complexities to all the different components we're trying to navigate with this new normal.
Right, exactly. So AliceAnne, tell us a little bit, because you've got the schools. So what are you doing there that is helping you to continue going?
Well, like most schools, we're doing a lot of e-learning, but we work with toddlers. And so that's not really developmentally appropriate for them to be in front of a computer all day. So weekly, we have little Zoom meetings where they can show up and see their friends and connect with their teachers. We're creating take-home boxes of art supplies and projects that families can do, projects at home with their children. But really, we're also trying to focus on our employees. So as you know, we had to furlough about 40% of our staff. And so what we're doing is we're continuing to have Zoom meetings weekly with them, stay connected, and just let them know that they're still part of the family, and that we're going to come through this. We're going to get through this and be strong. But we're really just trying to be that support and that network for our families and for our employees. Something that's really powerful that I've seen as in my leadership group is we've started doing these positive leadership webinars through Leading Ladies, and I've opened it up to the greater public. And we're really focusing on that social emotional leadership, as I spoke before. And humans, we have 5 basic rights that need to be fulfilled. We talk about fight or flight, when we're under stress, but there's actually another F, and it's called flourish. So fight, flight, or flourish. And when you break it down to look at the 5 basic human rights, which are your status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. If you can break that down and really look at when you're feeling that stress or you're feeling that chaos in your life, if you can identify which of those 5 basic human rights are feeling threatened, and you can combat that with some positive interventions or positive thinking or a shift in mindset, or somehow reward that basic right, you can totally shift the mindset. So we're talking about like status. People are losing their jobs. They're not sure about their business. It's uncertain times. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Autonomy. Many of us are told we can't open our businesses. We can't run our businesses. We can't leave our homes, do these things. We're feeling we're being stripped of our autonomy. Relatedness. We're socially distanced. People miss people. We need people. We need connections and fairness. None of this seems fair. I was speaking with my mom this morning, and she was like, why can't people just stay home? I just want this over with.
I know.
So when we look at those 5 basic rights and you say, okay, what's really being challenged here? And how can I change the narrative and remind myself of what I am in control of? If I can connect with my community, connect with people, like Jamie said, do a little caravan where you connect and you feel related. And when you can stop judging things as either fair or unfair, but just as they are,
Right, exactly.
You can really begin to create that mind shift and show up as a positive leader and break that cycle of negativity.
Yeah, no, I love what you're doing over there. I think it's really great. I'm gonna actually, because you said something in there, and I want to talk a little bit about. Let me grab Suzanne and put her. Suzanne, there you go. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things. Not only I'm watching you, and you've been inspiring. I've watched you pull together a bunch of networking people on a basis of what they do. So you had the home services, you had the people in mortgage, you had the people in finance. And that was those were really cool to watch. And you've done that. So I've enjoyed it. What have you seen among your clients that's been inspiring?
Oh, a couple of things. This particular person is in one of my networking groups, but he's an auto mechanic shop. He fixes cars, and he wanted to find a way to keep his guys busy and also provide, adapt, pivot his services. So he switched up. He decided, you know what, I'm just going to reach out to my clients and tell them I'll pick up their car, I'll bring it in, do whatever service needs to be done, and return it. And his business is not just thriving. His business is going to come out of this way ahead of most of the other businesses. And I think it's that kind of innovation that, to me, is inspiring. But it's also the way to come out of this crisis on a completely different level than what you entered it. So that's that. And then I'd also say, probably about 10 years ago, I was doing some work with Under Armour. And I was told a story that I thought was just fascinating, and it's resonated to this day. Story goes that they were all sitting in a room, leaders, vice presidents, the whole executive team. And they were brainstorming ideas, and somebody said, well, that's not the way that we've always done it. And Kevin Plank is said to have turned around to that person and said, you know what, from this day forward, I don't ever want to hear that statement in this company again. We have got to be innovative, and I don't care how we've always done it. I don't ever want to hear anybody else ever say that again. And so, I think from a leadership perspective, that's what leaders really need to be doing, right? Tone of embracing innovation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And letting their employees be part of that process. I think that's key.
Yeah, I think, I work with Fleet Feet, Gaithersburg, and it was really fun to watch them pivot. And retail had to change very quickly in 1,000 different ways. We got to a point where I was like, okay, so now we've got curbside delivery. This is the new normal. And suddenly I'm like, well, we don't have that anymore. But we were able to set up 4 different websites so that they can do things, and also figure out a way to make sure everybody knows you should call them instead of ordering through these websites. Sure, order through them if you have no other choice. But if you call them, they get to keep all the money instead of having to pay it to the different websites, right? And that was an employee. They had set up the 4 websites, and then an employee said, but what if we just tell people to call us? Wouldn't we make more money? Wouldn't that be better? And they listened. So that's really, really great. Erin, I've got to find you down here. This is 6 people. It's hard to find everybody. There you go. Actually, let me also say we did get another comment. AliceAnne, I think this was for you. Great points on reflection and mindset. And I think it is. So I just so, me, I'm out there completely. So I had my online therapy appointment yesterday, and she said, are you paying attention to when you're breathing? Because I noticed that you're taking really deep breaths when you're talking to people. And I thought, oh, I might be missing that part. I might not be paying attention to that. So, anyway, it's interesting the way our minds work and how important it is to think about what we're doing. All right, Erin, so tell us a little bit about, you got a whole bunch of people working for you. How are you adjusting, and what's been the biggest thing that you have, the biggest positive that's coming out of it?
Yeah, so we have operated remotely for a while. When we started this business, we wanted our team to be able to have the flexibility to work from home, have a quality of life with their children, and still be able to work. So in some ways, it hasn't changed for us. We do daily huddles every morning, which have been a saving grace to be able to stay connected and plugged in. We, frankly, have been very busy. We may see a shift in that in another month or so as the housing transactions and all of that come to a slow slower pace. But as far as the team goes, for me, it's been really checking in with everybody personally and making sure that everybody's okay. We have 3 moms, me being one of them, on our team with little kids.
Yeah.
So the challenge of really being able to work in a demanding job where clients are calling and requesting, and being able to homeschool, along with all the other things, it's been tough. So I appreciate what you shared, AliceAnne, those five things. They're huge. And as you were going through them, I even recognized myself going, yes, there's 1 or 2 of those where I've come across that and didn't recognize that's what they were. You reminded me, and what I really wanted to share is, I think that while it's so important to be positive and to recognize that you need to shift your energy into a positive space, there's also a place for letting it roll and come out, not directed at the people around you, which unfortunately I know I've been guilty of with my husband. God bless him. He still wants to be married to me, I think. I think. but being able to have a safe group of people that you can really dump things with and on, and know that no one's judging you and being critical, because I think there certainly is a lot of stress and a lot of, for somebody who likes to be scheduled and planned all the time, this has been, for me, and having to readjust and figure that out has been a challenge. But I don't think it's any different than any other working mom out there. We just had a little more put on our plate when the kids are being, when the kids come home. So for me, it's being real and relatable right now. I mean, frankly, I put on the positive hat most of the time and put, up the screen that says all is well. But I've been having more and more conversation with even my clients when I call and, hey, this is me, and I do my whole intro. How are you? And I find catching myself going, oh, I'm great, fine. And I said, you know what? No, I'm not. This is crazy. I'm at home with my 6-year-old who needs to have school and education. We have to, it's a lot to manage. And then we're just laughing by the end of it, which I think is really, I think if there's anything that this, this whole crisis has done, is opened our hearts a little bit to be real and more transparent with one another and say, I see you, I hear you, life's not perfect, and it's not fairy tales and rainbows and sunshine aren't going to be every day, but we're in it together, and we can lift each other up, and we can support one another. And for, Anne, I think do with, the suicide prevention, and the whole thing is not feeling alone, right?
Right.
Together, and we don't want to feel alone right now.
Well, and I think, I keep saying to people, be more human. And by the way, this is going to be my dog barking in just about 1 second. So I may just switch to one of you and have you talk, but yeah, I'm going to switch to Suzanne. Hold on.
Okay, I'm going to roll here. One of the things that Erin was just talking about that I think is really important is what Anne's doing as it relates to the suicide prevention. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have certainly been approached with folks that are low, business owners, friends. And, I think now more than ever, we all need to be really conscious of each other's, emotional state, and make sure that we're a positive force. And along the lines with, the whole fear aspect and the, all of the emotions we're feeling. The other thing is acceptance. Accept the fact that if you have fear or whatever else it is, accept what it is and push through it quickly. Because acceptance is, you have to accept something before you can move to the next step.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that. This is going to be, I'm so sorry. I'm going to talk over my dog. I'm so sorry. So we're not CNN. Let me go ahead and switch over to John. Can you talk about your biggest piece of advice for people right in this period of time?
Don't let the distractions become the attraction. Stay away from negativity, specifically at this time. We're all in this together. We've all been impacted in some way, and we're all shifting, some greater than others and some lesser than others. But now is not the time to start, as they say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Now is not this time to really be complaining about the situation. It's time to be thinking about how we're going to be better after this. Not to make light of anybody's situation, but I know all of us at some point have lost a job. And when we lost that job, we were freaking out. We were thinking, what are we going to do? I'm going to lose everything. How am I going to survive this? And lo and behold, we're here today. We've survived. And a lot of times better than where we were before. So, this might not be a falling on your face situation. This might be the paradigm shift that we need to step up in our lives and pivot.
Well, and I think you've heard me say it before. I keep going back to it. I honestly think people are creating new streams of income through this. They're not thinking about it, things that they just didn't think they could do before. So I'm watching people open their online stores when they didn't have it. I've created an online campus, and I think a lot of people are doing those sorts of things. So there are some positives that are coming out of this that we're really just not talking about. So let me go. Suzanne, I threw it to you, but I didn't ask you the question. So tell me your biggest piece of advice for people right now.
Well, kind of along with what John said, turn off the news. That's number one. The second thing is figure out, embrace that innovation and figure out what you can do to come out on the other side. A lot of the folks that I work with today, we're strategizing for what happens next. So it's not, there's a little window here, no matter how big, how long that time frame is, there's a little window of quarantine. But what happens on the other side? Because with all the virtual online stuff going on, how is your business going to adapt to that when it's over? And if you create that strategy now, you're going to be off and running when everybody else is in, huddling up trying to figure out what to do. So it's a great time to be strategizing for what happens next.
I absolutely agree. I just said this to my son the other day. I said, I watch people and it's like they think this is going to last forever. And it's not. And it's easy to think nobody likes change. And so you kind of, wherever you are is where you expect to be, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, whether you're going through a great time or you're going through a horrible time, you just have a hard time seeing what's next. So I think planning for that is really, really important. AliceAnne, how about you? What is your biggest piece of advice for people right now?
Be kind. Be kind. If you have an opportunity to be kind, be kind. We're all, like John said, I love the phrase, we're all in it together, but I heard maybe 2 weeks ago, I heard someone say, we're all in different boats, weathering the same storm.
Yes.
And, and to just be kind, that we don't know what other people are going through. We don't know how this is impacting them. Like he said, it might be greater than us. It might be less than us, but reach out to people. If you have an opportunity to help or to listen or to be kind, always choose to be kind. This is the time more than ever where we need compassion and give yourself permission to be human, and allow others that permission to be human, because we're going to get through it. It's not going to last forever. And,
right.
And you'll want to look back and say, you know what, through that chaos, I didn't compromise being a good person and showing my humanity. Right.
Well, I keep saying it, we're ebbing and flowing. So you go through this huge anxiety, right? And then you're like, I'm cool. Everything's good. Right. And thank God we all go through it at different times, because if we all went through it at the same time and had that moment all at the same time, I think we'd all lose our minds. So it's nice to know that my moment of calmness is going to come at somebody else's moment of anxiety, and I can be kind to them. So I love that.
And also for so many of us that are homeschooling, I know Erin has littles, Jamie has littles, I have teenagers, and my teenagers are sad. They are sad. They miss their friends. They miss their high school experiences, and middle school is tough enough, and then try to do middle school from home. So really just have compassion for those people that are trying to balance that all, and also try to maintain the mental health of their kids and family at home. It's tough stuff.
It really is. It really, really is. All right, Jamie, how about you? What is your one piece of advice right now?
I think to piggyback off of what everyone's saying with regards to mental health, this is something that pre-pandemic, I think, wasn't spoken about enough. And I saw that Lee Norwood had actually commented about primary care physicians and their rise in anxiety calls and medicine.
Right, there you go.
And I think if there is a therapist, if there is somebody that they can reach out to when people are having these types of anxiety, that is step number one. To breathe is step number two. And then step number three is to be vulnerable for business owners and with one another and have a direct ask. I think right now, because people are unsure of where everybody else is within their position, personally, professionally, they don't necessarily feel comfortable coming to somebody else and putting an ask on them. But I can tell you, the people who have responded to my emails and the ones that I respond to first are the ones that have a direct ask. And that way I can know exactly what they need and exactly how I can help. And I think when you have these clear, concise asks, that will help you if your anxiety is induced by something like business or something personally. It allows you to put it out there and then to seek the answers that you need. When we make generalized statements, and this is my personal opinion, it's harder, it's more likely to feel overwhelmed. Whereas when you have an ability to break it down and seek help for a very specific question, that's when you'll find the best results. On the personal side of things, this is anecdotally, my heart really does go out to those people who are experiencing extreme anxiety. And I hope that everyone can make themselves more readily available. And that's where, Anne, I'm so thankful for all the work that you've done as well.
Thank you. You know, it's one of the things, and it was funny because I had this conversation with a person who wanted to do some videos, and he wanted to do it for local businesses. And I said, you know, one of the things you should do is interview a therapist, because entrepreneurs are already stressed. They're already going through so much, and they're going crazy. They're already there, right? So if you can help them see that they can ask for help. Mm-hmm. And that is true. And I think actually I've loved it. I told my husband, I think I'm part psychiatrist for my clients, because they call me and say, so this is what's happening. And I talk them down. You know, a lot of the time I feel like I'm talking them down, but I think it's important to have somebody who you can say, this is really scary. It's scaring the hell out of me. Or this is really sad. I had to lay off 40% of my staff. That's hard. So I want to give you, and I didn't warn you guys, I'm going to do it anyway. Hold on one sec. Julie Blamfons just said something. She says, I'm here willing to help anyone wanting to practice yoga, meditation, and laughter. So and actually that's a really good lead into what I'm going to say next. I would like you guys to go through, and I'm going to go one to one. I want you to tell me, what is the one thing you can help people with right now? So if you're a business owner and you need help, reach out to, and let's start with Suzanne, because she's first on my list here. Suzanne, what's the one thing they can reach out to you for right now?
Strategy. How to move through this and how to get beyond this with your business. And, everything starts with a sale. So let's start at that process and then work backwards or work forwards as to figure out how we can grow your sales. That's what I do. And that's what I love helping business owners with, especially right now.
That's awesome. All right, AliceAnne, how can you help business owners right now?
Positive leadership. If you're looking for a way to be an effective leader, to show up, to keep the calm in your organization, I'm happy to help with that and to give you some positive interventions that can help keep your team together and hopeful towards the future.
Awesome. I love that. All right, John, you're muted, I think. There you go. All right.
I think the number one thing Hawk Marketing can help people with right now is to pivot and get in front of people on social media and email marketing. Now more than ever, a lot of these people have to pivot, and I have a lot of examples here. As far as networking in Annapolis goes, I would love to give people right now referrals. For example, I was listening to Erin. She works with real estate agents. I have this huge list of attendees from networking groups, about 1,500 people. So if anybody out there needs a referral, please reach out to me. I'll give you a whole list of every category you need.
That'd be great. Thank you. Jamie, how about you?
Connections, education and connections. And with regards to that, I mean, if you're looking for somebody in a particular category or a specific ask, like a therapist, no question or ask is too minimal. And if I don't have somebody within my immediate circle, I will find you somebody through the connections that I have. So any source of connections, that's what I pride myself as a curator at heart, and being able to get things accomplished by going to the right people at the right time.
Oh, and connections are so important. I think if you look at successful people, it's the fact that they can connect you with anybody. I think it's such a huge part of success in business. So thank you. All right, Erin, how about you?
Yeah, so if any business owners are looking to cut expenses from their budget, obviously insurance, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the easy ways to look at that without sacrificing coverage, of course. And then for anybody who has teenage girls that need to plug into another community through the Dream Queen Association, we have that through our Gals Lead program. And like all of you, we're still hosting those weekly networking events for women in business, and the agenda is very unique. It's who you are in your business, celebrations personally and professionally, and then what you desire. So it's all about asking and setting those intentions. So it's a really unique format, and to be able to do that online, I think, can support a lot of business owners right now and getting connected.
And I cannot say enough about setting your desires. When you talked about doing that, it was so funny because I put something out there with you, and then I swear the next day I got it. So it's really a very powerful tool. I want to tell you guys who we have coming up tomorrow. We have Matt Watkins from Titan 100. He's going to talk about accountability and how we can all work together to hold each other accountable. He has a group of people who are working together right now. They meet every week and they talk about what they're going to do. And then they really do hold each other accountable for us. So that's going to be an interesting talk. I loved having you guys on. I want to remind you that people are leaving comments. So if you can go and comment on the comments that were there. If other people have questions of this group, please tag them in your comments below, and they'll come back and answer your questions. They're pretty good about being on social media and answering questions. So anything you need, this is an incredibly powerful group of people. I was going to say women, John, but you're in the mix today. Look at that. So it's an
in the mix with the women.
I think we just think of him as one of us now. So,
positioning, strategic positioning.
Exactly. But you guys are absolutely amazing. AliceAnne's going to be on next week. I'm going to talk to John and Erin and Jamie. Suzanne was already on. She was one of my first. And so this is exciting stuff. I'm really amazed at the number of people who are watching, and amazed at the number of people who are willing to come on and give me their time. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
All right.